Not once, not sometime, but the devil all the time on Film Threat Reviews. Hi, I'm Alan I'm with Zorianna Kit, and today we are reviewing The Devil All the Time. But before we begin, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below on what you thought of the film. Something sinister is happening in Knockemstiff, Ohio, where a young Arvin encounters an unholy preacher, a twisted couple, and a crooked sheriff in a small religious town. It's written and directed by Antonio Campos, along with Paulo Campos. It stars Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, Jason Clarke, Riley Keough, and a whole bunch of other people you're going to know. Oh, and it's on Netflix as well. Zorianna, so you feel depressed? Feel depressed
No,
at all?
actually, I mean, yes, this movie is grim, but the actors are so superb. I was engrossed from start to finish. I was so into it. I mean, it is violent. There's a high body count. Characters come and go. You think you're like, oh, that person's a movie star. They're going to be around for a while. And then you're like, oh, wait, no, no, they're not. But it was quite a trip. And everyone is either a victim or someone who's terribly evil. But it was engrossing. It really was.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you with the acting. Acting is just superb, incredible. Everyone does a great job. Robert Pattinson, I just found really intriguing in this one, but
Yeah,
it was just like just sitting through it. It's like, oh man, it doesn't get happy at all. And, people, not only are people dying, but they're dying in very gruesome, violent ways. Not like a horror film, but
no, it's not torture porn.
yeah.
Like I do have to say that it's not one of those torture porn movies at all. It's just grim.
Yeah, I mean, and what I like is this is an adaptation of a book, and like a book, a good book, it has multiple storylines, and that's very difficult to pull off in a film. But I think Antonio Campos did a really good job just maintaining these storylines and keeping us interested, and really keeping the balance of it as Tom Holland as that lead as well.
Well, the multiple storylines do slightly connect and intertwine. They do have some connection, just a little bit, not a lot, but it all does kind of come together at the end, which I thought just tied up everything nicely. And I'm glad that you mentioned Tom Holland, because for the past 5 years, he's just been busy being Peter Parker and all the Spider-Man, Avengers, Marvel movies. And so we've only seen this goofy, geeky side of him. But here, man, it's like this guy, he can act for sure. I mean, you never know when you see someone in a Marvel movie just what their range is. Those films aren't exactly for the range. Yeah, Tom Holland, I'm sure this is what attracted him to the role, is to show a different side of himself, and he does a superb job.
Yeah, there's also it's loaded with British actors for some reason, and apparently the Southern accent is really easy for British actors. I think what I like though, it's one of those where I didn't like it in the sense of it's so dark and so grim, and I'm so depressed at the end of it. But I think, I mean, obviously it's intentional, and if it makes me feel that way, then it must have been a successful movie. It didn't. It created the emotion the way it needed to. It's like a very dark painting that we're watching, because it's not like that there's a real plot going on, but it's mostly just creating a tone, the sinister tone, over all the characters and all the storylines within it.
Also, it's addressing a certain period in American history or American time that we don't often see portrayed in movies in that regard. We don't often see like the darker side of things from that era. And this is one of the things that makes this film unique.
Yeah, I mean, I come from a fairly religious background in Christianity, and hammers Christianity pretty hard. I kind of have come out on the more positive, hopeful side of it, but I've definitely seen the dark side portrayed here. Not quite as dark, but I've seen how religion, how faith, and how abuse of power has played into Christianity to bring people to this point to where they just kind of used God and religion as a badge more than a philosophy to live by, so to speak.
Well, yes, that's happened in history throughout since the beginning of time, and here it just happens again in this particular time period. And Robert Pattinson plays that guy, and yeah, he's pretty creepy here. I mean, you know, when you meet him right away that there's something creepy about him, and it's not going to disappoint on the creepiness factor.
Yeah. Okay, so based on the fact that you really got into it and that it really engaged you and you saw a lot of interest in it, I'm gonna give it. I think you're gonna give it like an 8.5, 9.
8.5, yeah. And I know that you really like the acting as well. That's what it has going for it for you. But I'm not sure you liked it as much as I did. So I'm gonna say maybe you gave it a 7.
No, actually, I've been kind of back and forth on this. You know, it's one of those movies where it just makes you feel so dark and so depressed that I want to give it a lower score, but then you realize, well, that was the whole point.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
I gave it an 8.5 as well, because I get the sense that if I'm really in a mood, I'm gonna go back and watch the movie again. Weirdly.
Well, I think it accomplished what it intended to
Yeah.
do, and when a movie does that, then you have to give props, even if the final result wasn't comfortable with you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you know, I've had this discussion like with As Good as It Gets. The Jack Nicholson character is such a horrible character, but it was a great performance. Just because you don't like the guy doesn't mean he didn't do a good job and he didn't get the point across. And I think that's what this movie does.
Yes, although Jack Nicholson is nowhere near as bad as these guys.
Absolutely.
Yes, at all. Yeah.
All right. Well, be sure to check out filmthreat.com for news, reviews of independent movies. Like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. And with that, let's get out of here.